Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Expo webinar. We're going to give everybody a minute or so to get into the webinar, and then we'll get started. So we'll get started here in just a minute as people join the webinar. While people are joining, my name is Roger Connor. I'm with the NCABR Bridging the Gap conference team. And today we're going to be reviewing how to access the virtual expo hall, as well as some best practices for virtual presentations and events. And we also have the Q&A open. If you have any questions, you can put those in the Q&A and upvote questions that you also have, and we will address those a little bit later in the presentation. So let's go ahead and get started. So to join the virtual event, which is going to be the first step that you will want to do, you're going to want to go to btgvirtual.com. For some reason, the 2 and BTG is running together, but it's btgvirtual.com. And this has all of our presenter resources and access to conference information for speakers and presenters, as well as exhibitors. You're going to click Access Virtual Conference. We recommend that you bookmark this page in your web browser for easy access during the conference. And then the next step is to claim your profile. And the really important thing here is to sign up or sign in using the speaker or exhibitor email address that you used when you registered. So this is the email that you originally provided to us. And it's important that you use that email because that's how we know to give you access to the presenter tools as well as the administrator tools for your expo or exhibit hall booth. Just a note that if you participated in the conference in prior years, you possibly already have an account if you use the mobile app. So if you go to sign in and it says you already have an account, sign in, and you don't remember your password, there's a place where you can click reset password and it'll send you a new password for that. So once you've joined the virtual event, you'll actually have to take another step to join into the expo hall. So inside of the virtual experience, you're going to click Exhibit Hall or Outreach Expo. Either option will take you to the virtual expo hall. Once there, you're going to click Join Event Now and then Create New Account. Or if you have a Google account that is tied to your speaker or exhibitor email address, you can just sign in using Google. But if you don't have that as an option, you would create a new account. And then you'd basically claim your expo profile. So this is where you would put in any imagery you want to use during in the exhibit hall or for the expo. As well as your contact information and otherwise. All of that will be collected in your expo profile. Again, it's important that you register using the email address that you originally used to register as either as an exhibitor or for the Outreach Expo, because that's how the system knows to give you access to the rooms. So once you're logged in to the exhibit hall and you've created your account, the next step is to set up your virtual exhibit booth. And this is a fairly easy process. You're going to click Expo Hall, and then you're going to click Create Room. This will open up a new window, and you'll enter your session or organization name and description. This is what participants will see before they join your room or table. So try to make it informative and inviting so it encourages people to actually enter your room. You also have the opportunity to add what we call applications or apps. This is where if you have any resources or promotional materials you want to be easily accessible to attendees, you'll be able to add these so that they're on display, kind of like they would be at a normal exhibit table, so participants can access them. And basically anything that's online or on the web can be loaded as an app inside of the system. And we'll go over how to do that in just a little bit. So once you add any applications that you want, you click create, you join the room, and when you join the room, it will ask you to allow access to your camera and microphone. So you'll allow access. And then you will be inside of your booth where you'll be able to interact with attendees. You can edit your booth anytime between now up until the Friday prior to the conference, and then the rooms will become locked. And so to edit a room, you're going to click, and I'll show you how to do this. You're going to click the three dots and you'll click edit. And it will take you back to a screen very similar to the screen that you see whenever you create a room. And you can update the information and switch anything out that you may need to update prior to the conference. Inside of your virtual room, you'll be able to share your audio, your webcam, as well as your screen. This is an opportunity to be able to connect with room participants organically as they come and go from your exhibit booth. And then you'll also be able to moderate your space. So you'll have administrative controls over the space in order to do any moderation if that's required. If you are a premium exhibitor, that means that you have the ability to host a concurrent session at the conference. For information on how to access and present a concurrent session, what you're going to want to do is visit the btgvirtual.com and select for speakers and then presenter webinar. And that will provide you with the training for concurrent sessions, which is different than the training we're doing now. So if you're a premium exhibitor, some of these instructions are similar, but some of them are different. So go to the BTG Virtual website and view the presenter webinar so that you have access to both of the trainings. So now I'm going to give you a demo of the virtual platform and show you an example booth setup that I created, as well as showing you the process for creating a new booth and what that looks like. So if you'll give me a minute, I will switch over the screen sharing over to that. There's so many windows open. Story of my life. Okay. So you should be seeing the BTG virtual website, which is where you will go to access the virtual conference. And if you're a premium exhibitor, this is also where you will go to access the presenter webinar. So you're going to click Access Virtual Conference, which is going to open up in a new window. We're going to follow the steps of entering the email address that you used when you registered for the conference or for your session. And so I registered using my personal email, so I'm going to type that in And then I have an account from a prior year. So thankfully I remember the password. And so I'm going to enter that password and it's going to bring me into the virtual platform. From here, you will want to click on either Exhibit Hall or Outreach Expo in order to load the Expo portal. So once you click that, a new window will pop up, and this is where you'll have the option to join the event now. And this is where I mentioned that if you have a Google account that is the same as the email that you registered for the conference with, you can just sign in with Google, but otherwise you're going to want to click create new account and create an account under that email. Since I already have created an account, I'm going to sign in with my email address. And now we are inside of the expo hall. And here is where you will have access to all of the tables or rooms, as they're called, inside of the expo hall, as well as the networking sessions. So as I mentioned before, the create room is available here. But what I'm going to do first is show you an example room that I created for one of our exhibitors, just to give you a sense of what's possible when it comes to setting up your table with different apps. So this is the screen that I was talking about that users see when they click on your booth. So you'll want to type this information in. You can add an image, try to make it enticing so people want to join your session. So we're going to click join, and it is going to load this particular exhibit booth. And you will see that that I have preloaded some apps in here that participants have access to, and they include a presentation about the product that you can go through. I've linked to a responsive website that goes over the product and its connection with education and kind of like the real world connections. And then some updated information about, you know, some things that they have going on. They offer some videos to educators as some playlists. And so I've directly embedded these playlists in here. And then if you're an exhibitor and you're trying to collect leads, having something like a demo request form or a contact request form is a really great way to drive that lead engagement. So these are the apps that I was talking about. They show up as tabs. And then over to the right, you will see that this is where you will be able to interact with participants via video. Since there's no one else in here right now, it's just me. But if there were other participants, they would show, their video would show up as well, and you would be able to have organic conversations with participants, just like you would if they were to come around to your booth and visit with you. So it's set up to be very organic. You can also screen share from this area. So if you pull up the modal menu at the bottom and hover over it, you'll see there's an option to screen share. So if you want to, if there's something that isn't in an app that you want to demo live on demand, you can do a screen share for that and share either a tab or an application on your computer. And so that is an overview of kind of what a demo room looks like, to give you an idea of some of the things you can do. So we're going to leave this room And I'm going to show you how to create a new room. So it's very simple. You just click create room, and this is where you're going to put in either your organization, if you're an exhibitor, or your session title, if you're doing the Outreach Expo. This is where you'll type the description, which is what shows up when people click on your booth. You can add links, images, bullet points, quotes, formatting. So I encourage you to go in and make it look nice and enticing for people. And then there's the ability to add apps. So this is where you can add those tabs in. You just click add app and it will pop up a new window, and you'll just need to select whether it's a web app, which means it's something that's accessible in a web browser, or if it needs to be a video player or an image. Um, so you can embed live streams, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, HLS, almost any video type can be embedded inside of an app. Anything that's available on the internet can be embedded as a web app. So think like Google Documents, whiteboarding tools, maybe a game, any of those things can all be embedded inside of an app, as well as an image. You would just put the image URL and it would basically display an image centered inside of the tab. So you would just create a, and I'm just going to call this like news, and just for an example, I'm going to do like Google News. I'm going to add that, and you see it will show up here. And you can keep adding apps to your room. If you add multiple apps, you can drag and drop where they are sequenced. So if you want them in a certain order, you can do that. And then I'm just going to make this test room, test description. You add your apps, and then you just click create, and it will create your booth and make it available. And then if I need to go back and make changes to my booth prior to the conference, I'm going to click the three dots and I'm going to click edit. And that's going to bring up the room information that we just entered basically. And so you'll be able to update anything that you need to do from there. So that is a tour of the system itself. It's pretty intuitive to create a room and kind of share your materials like you would at an expo event, and then interact with attendees like you would as they come and go from your booth. So, so that's that. And I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint. It won't let me. There we go. So what I'd like to do now is just briefly go over some best practices for a virtual event as an exhibitor or as an Outreach Expo participant. Add more apps. So this is really an opportunity to take advantage of these. Anything that you can make available on the internet can be made into an app. So think lead forms, videos, demos. You know, if you have a video, you can upload it to YouTube and embed that. There's just a lot of opportunities to be able to share your resources easily by taking advantage of apps. For your video, make sure your lighting is good. Make sure your face is well lit. Try not to have your back to a window. Make sure your background is good. So, you know, don't have a lot of like clutter. You don't want anything to be distracting. You want it to be very professional. Um, really play to the camera, you know, look at the computer's camera, try not to have it too far above or below you, kind of around eye level. Uh, Make sure you know when your camera's on, believe it or not. I've been in events where people apparently didn't realize their camera was on and it led to hilarity. So try to avoid that. And, you know, try to make contact with your audience virtually as people are coming by your exhibit booth. Um, Try to get close, but not too close. This is kind of ideal framing that you see me currently in. So kind of your face, neck, and shoulders is ideal. If you have like a standing desk, you can stand up and that will frame you better and give you more energy. But if you have to sit, try to lean forward like you were a weekend TV news anchor and try to avoid slouching. Be animated, just like in a live presentation or live expo hall. You want to have a little energy and animation, you know, vary your cadence that you talk with. You know, keeping people engaged virtually really does require you to be engaging. And at the same time, you'll need to pace yourself. So as people come and go to your exhibit booth, you'll want to pace your presentation so that you're able to, I always tell people to have like a 1 to 2 minute mini presentation if they are doing an exhibit booth that they can give like really quickly as people come and go to their table. And then you can always have extended conversations with people, but you have that kind of initial thing that you do over and over again as people come and go to your booth. Make sure you do a sound check. We recommend using wired headsets if possible. Um, if you don't have access to that, things like AirPods are perfectly fine. You can practice recording yourself using Zoom to see and ensure that your audio is emitting clearly. People can forgive video that is not very good, but they get really annoyed when they can't hear you. So make sure your audio is really good. If you can, plug into your modem or router directly. I know a lot of modern computers don't have Ethernet ports anymore, but if you do have an Ethernet port, wiring directly into your modem will give you the fastest, best, and most stable internet connection. If you are presenting, many of you are presenting with other presenters or co-hosts, just ensure that they have a copy of your slides or any materials that you want to provide to individuals, just in case. I always try to make sure everybody has a copy of everything in the event that, you know, my system goes down or something happens. If you have someone else that's presenting with you and they can like help manage the chat features and the video interaction features while you handle maybe direct messaging with uh, participants, you just want to make sure that you kind of divide and conquer if you have multiple presenters available. And really evaluate and enhance. So do that like 2-minute brief presentation and record it using Zoom and play it back to yourself. It's kind of your elevator speech / presentation, and make sure that it worked well in a virtual environment and that it communicated what you're intending to communicate as part of your presentation. Really dress the part, so be professional, wear solid colors, um, try to avoid like wild patterns, crazy jewelry. You really want the focus to be on your presentation and your booth, and not on what you're wearing. So do that. And then make sure that you incorporate some time for Q&A. As individuals come and go to your booth, they'll have questions. So give them an opportunity to have their questions answered. And make sure that you're doing your presentation from a quiet environment. And going along with this, make sure that you silence notifications on your cell phone. I always forget to do that. So make sure you silence notifications on all your devices, iPad, cell phone, etc. So they're not going off during your event. And really be yourself and have fun. You know, people like connecting with real people. So audiences connect with authenticity. So just let your personality come through, and let them know that you enjoy being here and that you enjoy interacting with them, and they'll appreciate it that much more. Because all presentations or performances, and that's in service to your audience. So just try to create an authentic connection, engagement, and value for participants as they come around to your booths. So that's the presentation for today. It's pretty short and sweet, just an overview of how to register, how to access the expo hall and register for the expo hall, and then how to create your room and curate your room's content is kind of what we went over today, as well as some best practices for virtual presentations. And so that is it as far as the formal presentation. And now I'm going to pull up your questions. Yes, rooms will be available to join even if no one is there to talk with them. So think about that. If you want to have like some self-guided materials, maybe if you're like an exhibitor, maybe you're not able to be there the whole time. You just want to make sure that there's good materials that people can visit with. And then if you need additional support for any issues you may experience, I would encourage you first to check the BTG virtual website for the technical troubleshooting documents we provided. Try that first, and if that doesn't work, then there's a place on the website where you can schedule one-on-one support if you require it. And the info will be available during the conference and for a yet to be determined period of time after the conference is over with. So it's definitely going to be available during the conference, obviously, but the information may be extended beyond that. If you do not want your information to still be there, we'll give you the option to go in and delete your room. So you always have control over your visibility. So the Outreach Expo presenters and exhibitors are using the same virtual space. So the interfaces are the same for Expo presenters as well as exhibitors. And part of the rationale for this was we really wanted to to kind of bring all the people together in the environment so that they would have the opportunity to visit with exhibitors, visit with Outreach Expo presenters. And so there would be a lot going on in this space to encourage people to come and visit. So, so that's, they're sharing the same kind of virtual space, yes. So let's see. So when you create a room, it enables video by default. Um, you can disable the video feature as part of creating the room. So if you don't want video to be available, you can disable that. I would encourage you to leave it available, even if you can only be there for a short period of time, because part of the reason why people uh, are participating is because they want to be able to interact with people. So I would encourage you to leave the video enabled, but you do have the option to disable it. So Expo attendees can move from room to room or booth to booth over the time frame of the event. So they can kind of come and go just like they would at an in-person event. So we tried to recreate a little bit of that organic experience and allowing people the opportunity to kind of roam around and see different things during the time frame. Let's see. So the exhibit hall will be available between now and the conference. So you can log in at any point in time and test out your room. And you can invite other Expo presenters to give you feedback, but that is, it'll be available to you to be able to kind of test it out. So if you are an exhibitor and you are wanting to collect contact information, a Word document probably is not going to work in this setting because you need them to be able to submit the information. So so there's kind of two options here. One is you could create a form, a web form. There's a lot of different free providers of web forms out there that basically just let people submit their first name, last name, and email, and it basically puts it in a database that you can download at a later date. And it would give you a link that you would use for the app for people to submit their information into the form. Or a worst case scenario, you could load like a Google document or a Google spreadsheet, and people would be able to type in their information directly into that. I would probably lean more toward, just for privacy reasons, I would lean more towards doing the form if possible. Yeah, so you could do a Google document if you wanted to. So you could do like a Google form, for example, and maybe that's what you were thinking about was a Google form. You can embed a Google form as an app. All right, well, I'll give everybody a couple more minutes to think of any questions they might have while I go back and make sure I haven't missed anybody, because I always do that sometimes. Let's see. I think I've addressed all the questions that have been submitted thus far. Um, you have about another 30 seconds or so to type in any other ones you might have. Um, but yeah, I would encourage you to go in and curate your room, make it enticing for participants. You've got some time to kind of load everything in there before the conference and get feedback on that from colleagues or otherwise. Um, and then whenever you log into your room, uh, if you've provided the right email address, it will pop up and say you've been granted administrative and moderator permissions for the room, which will give you access to all of the tool sets that are available inside of the space. All right, well, I think that's everything. Thank y'all so much for attending today. Hopefully this is giving you a better idea of what the Outreach Expo and Exhibitor experience will look like. And we'll give you the opportunity to put something together for the participants that'll get them excited for their participation in the expo hall. So thank you all so much for the work that you do. We really appreciate it. Our attendees appreciate it. And so, we really appreciate the hard work that you do as part of this. So thanks again. And a recording of this will be available on the BTG virtual website. So if you missed any part of this or want to go back and re-watch it, because sometimes I like to do that, it'll be available on the website probably within the next few hours. It takes a little while to process the video, but once we get it processed, it'll be up on the web. So thank you all again and have a good rest of your day. Take care.